Coolermaster's latest addition into the budget peripheral market is with the Masterkeys Lite keyboard and mouse combo priced at $79, which is priced higher than both their previous Octane and Devastator combos. To justify this price, Coolermaster have added RGB to both the mouse and keyboard, but does this help sell it, or is it just not worth the hassle? Let's find out. Let's start with the biggest disappointment to begin with, the mouse. Features wise, it rocks an Avago 3050 optical sensor with 4 levels of DPI set at 500, 1000, 2000 and 3500, which are none of the DPI settings I prefer unfortunately. Omron left and right click switches rated at 10 million clicks, a 1.8 meter non-detachable rubberized USB 2.0 cable and an ambidextrous design, but for some reason, when I'm holding it, the right hand side of the mouse seems to dig into my palm area uncomfortably, causing cramp after a prolonged use. The mouse is constructed entirely of plastic that feels cheap, except for the middle of the scroll wheel which is coated in textured rubber. Along the side of the mouse is 2 buttons positioned perfectly for my hand, but feel horrible to push and sound hollow when actuated. On top of the mouse is the aforementioned scroll wheel with RGB lighting either side of the rubber, which requires slightly more force than I would like to actuate it. Just behind that is a tiny DPI button that sits a little too far back to comfortably press. On the palm area is a faint Coolermaster logo, and just below that is a small plastic strip which acts as the second and final RGB lighting zone. The 2 RGB zones cannot be separated, so the selected effect will apply to both areas. The right hand side of the mouse is bare, and on the bottom is 3 ample sized feet that are large enough to allow the mouse to glide with ease. Dimensions wise, the mouse is 114mm long, 65mm wide and 39mm high, and weighs 91 grams, but this mouse feels incredibly small and lightweight in my hand, despite these stats. To turn on or off the lighting, hold the DPI button, then the right click button. To change the effects, press the DPI and the scroll wheel button. To change the colour cycling speed or the static colour depending on what mode you have selected, press the DPI button, then the rear side button. This mouse only offers 2 modes, which are either colour cycling or a static colour, with the colour options of red, blue, purple, yellow, green, orange, or white. When changing DPI, the 2 lighting zones will flash a certain colour that corresponds with the DPI, such as red for 500, blue for 1000, purple for 2000, and finally white for 3500. One last thing to say about this mouse is it is possible to overlap the left and right mouse buttons by pushing one too far the direction of the other when it is being pressed, which cause a lot of problems, but I cannot seem to find anyone else having this problem, so it could just be mine. Moving on to the keyboard now, which sports Coolermaster's new in-house mechanical switches, which are loud and cause the spacebar to have an annoying clack when pressed. Have a listen. These switches are rated at 12 million keystrokes and require 50 grams to actuate. These keycaps have more sharper edges than more premium caps, but can be replaced as the mechanical switches do have cherry compatible stems, which is a nice touch. The caps also do seem to display your skin oil residue. The keyboard is also splash resistant, which is a nice feature for any clumsy gamers out there. Feature wise, the keyboard has multimedia keys that can be accessed by holding in the function button to access the home button area's secondary functions. A keyboard lock or Windows lock function on the F11 and F12 keys, RGB lighting, a 1.8 meter plastic coated non-detachable USB 2.0 cable, flip out and rubberized feet to increase the height and angle of the keyboard, and a gaming lock mode to disable the Windows key when in game that has been changed to a Coolermaster logo keycap. Dimensions wise, this keyboard is 439mm long, 129mm wide and 41mm high, and weighs just under a kilo at 967 grams. The RGB effects on the keyboard are different to the mouse, with extra functions like wave, RGB wave, WASD illumination, static colour, breathing, RGB spectrum, and type lighting. The colours can be changed to the preset colours by holding in the function key and pressing F1, or change the red, green or blue mix within the colour by F2, F3 or F4. F5 changes between modes. F6 changes the direction of certain effects. F7 changes the speed of the effect, and with F9 returning it to normal speed, and F10 allowing the effect to go 8 times faster. There is a white plastic plate behind the keycaps to make the colours seem more vibrant. The only area that isn't RGB controllable is the activated function keys area, with the num, scroll and caps lock turning white, and the Windows lock aka Gaming Mode G lighting up blue when enabled. On to the testing portion of the video now. So let's test for sensor rattle to begin with, which there is a faint noise, but that's not a problem, so it gets a pass. Lift-off distance is up now, which unfortunately the mouse sensor begins moving before placing the mouse down, so this test is a fail. The next test is line prediction, which we do by drawing a line in paint, as straight as we can, and check to see if the sensor corrects the line, making it unnatural, which unfortunately the sensor did, so this is another fail. To check for sensor skipping, we draw a continual spiral and check for any breaks within the image, which thankfully there are none, so this test is a pass. The final test before we move on to some gaming is some sensor speed performance, which we do by rapidly dragging the mouse left and right, trying to cause in-game cursor to mess up or freak out. Thankfully the sensor registered every quick movement perfectly, so that's another win for this mouse. On to the games now, and first up is Doom, where I felt I hit all the shots I needed to and my movement was unhindered. Next up is Unreal Tournament, where unfortunately not having my preferred DPI of 1600 made it hard for me to adapt and hit the most precise of shots, but DPI is personal preference, so what didn't seem to work for me may work perfectly for you, as it is up to the individual person at the end of the day.
Double kill. Killing spree. Double kill. Multi-kill.
In conclusion, this is your basic starter pack with some added lighting effects thrown in to justify a higher than average asking price, although you cannot sync up the effects themselves. It's an okay starting combo, but I wouldn't use either of these peripherals once I got more serious into gaming due to the problems I've discussed. But if these issues don't seem to deter you from this combo, then go for it. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, and if you really enjoyed it, please consider subscribing for more reviews and other content in the future. If you have a suggestion, question or criticism, leave a comment, and thank you very much for watching.